In this demonstration, we're going to show you how you can use a PodVM to gain SSH access to TKG cluster nodes on a vSphere with Tanzu deployment that is using NSX-T. In this environment, I already have a TKG cluster deployed in the namespace Cormac NS. I'm just checking the IP addresses of the nodes, and as you can see, these are coming from internal NSX-T segments which are not accessible from my desktop. And so this is the conundrum that we're trying to solve in this demonstration. I'm going to switch to the CLI, and the first thing I'm going to do is just check the IP addresses once again from the CLI. We can do that with the kubectl get vm -o-wide command, and you can see they match up what we saw in the UI earlier. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to check the secrets, because what we want to do is retrieve within the PodVM the secret that is used to store the private key for the TKG cluster. And this will allow us to SSH onto the TKG nodes without providing a password. So you can see here I'm building a volume that is going to be made up of the SSH secret from the TKG cluster. That's going to be mounted on root SSH, and we're going to copy the private key from the root SSH to the ID_RSA. And as I said, that will allow us to SSH from the PodVM to the TKG nodes without providing a password. We'll have trusted access. So the pod is on its way up and running, and you can see that it has an IP address as well that is in the same segment. We can double check that through the UI, and there you can see it there. So now what we should be able to do is, switching back to the CLI, we should be able to exec onto the PodVM, opening a shell, and from within that shell we should be able to execute an SSH command. And that SSH command should allow us to connect as the VMware system user to a TKG node without providing a password. So that's one of the worker nodes that we've selected here, 38. And once I fix up the prompt by just setting the PS1 variable, I can check the networking. And there indeed, we are on the correct TKG node, and just checking the host name as well. So that's a way of using PodVMs to gain access to your TKG cluster on a vSphere with Tanzu environment that has been deployed with NSX-T.